I will validate you, Evan.
Oh, thanks, Kyle. I'm glad we're live for that part of the show.
Yeah.
Welcome to Motion Design Hotline. You've tuned into the pirate feed. If you're watching this, probably in recordings, because we don't usually do this on Tuesday. This is our first Tuesday of the shows, so maybe we should spend more time tweeting about this, but I don't even know. So anyway, we're here. We're gonna pick up.
It's not called tweeting anymore.
Sorry, Xting. We're gonna X about this show more. That can't be the word for it, but anyway. We'll do that. I got to figure out how to make this work on Behance. Kyle, what are we doing on the show? Oh, wait, it's going now. Holy crap.
Is it? Okay, I was about to say I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. It's been so long since I've been on the show that I had to remind myself what show we're even doing.
That's true. Pick up these beautiful shirts in our merch store. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
Yeah, because you have been afield. You've been out... you've been out on the ground doing the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still don't see anything on Behance, by the way.
Oh, well, I do. It says live. Something's going on.
Okay.
Have you tried?
There we go.
Have you tried refreshing it harder?
I've got it. Yeah, I refreshed it. extra clicks, and it got there. Yeah. All right. Well, here we go for this very smooth intro. So last week, Evan over here, I managed to correctly point the wrong way, which looks the right way for you.
Yeah.
He had several examples about things melting, dripping, things like that. Most of them were very vectory. And guess what? We had some leftovers. And I had some techniques that obviously didn't get seen last week because I wasn't here.
Right.
I was melting for real in Washington, D.C., where it was very hot.
That's right. Washington hot sea. No. What is a hot portmanteau of Washington D.C.?
I don't know. We can work on that, or we'll outsource it to the chat as we should wisely do with everything.
Hottington D.C.
Okay, we'll do that.
Got him, Hottington D.C.
Tentatively approved.
Sure. Hello, Umacorn. Welcome to this.
Whatever this may be.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do I share the link to our YouTube? Where is that found? I mean, I guess if you're looking at it, you would have the direct link to share that away.
Yeah, I've got it. Are you trying to tweet this or something?
I don't know. I have the link to the control center, and that's not helpful for anybody.
Okay. Well, I mean, that is the link to the actual stream. If you're trying to put
well, I'll go ahead and put that in Twitter. But yeah, so we were doing stuff last time, or I was here doing melty stuff. Kyle has some melty stuff to show you. Might as well melt. I'm going to go ahead and drop this into Twitter, but for the sake of moving the show along quickly, Kyle, let's jump over.
I think this is great content.
Okay, this is the good stuff. People forget that the good stuff is when you do the admin of the program.
All the things that should have happened before we pressed live, happening now in real time for you.
Yeah.
Umacorn.
You can see the show behind the show. And like all waterfowl, we are graceful on the surface and pooping beneath the waves. So that's what you get. Yeah, okay. So melting stuff.
Yep.
There's a lot of distortion effects that I didn't get to. There's a lot of one that I just discovered how to use good 5 minutes ago. So,
I can vouch for this.
Kyle saw it live. So we're going to talk about some of those. A lot of the things are going to be very raster forward. So if you are a raster master, you'll enjoy these blaster, pastor.
We'll fix that in the edit.
This bit is a disaster. So let's get to the good stuff faster. Oh boy, Kyle, these improv classes have really been paying off.
Clearly, yeah. I hope you're paying a lot for them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's making me far less self-conscious about being bad. So that's what is
perfect.
I feel less shame, and I think that's what the point of this stuff is.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's jump to it. Let's enjoy some popsicles on screen, I guess.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's it's pretty hot lately, so I figured I would grab this popsicle and we'll make it melt a little bit. So this is just from Adobe Stock. You can see right here the things. Yeah. Uh, you know what happens.
You know what it's
You know
called.
what happens. And I have brought this into Photoshop, and I'll just do the old remove background, which I do like very much. And hey, look, magic background removal. I'll maybe crop this fella down a little bit. I'm just holding Alt so that it all moves at once. And look, it's just that simple, folks.
Just that simple, just that good.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and save that. And then I've got myself something that I can bring into the old After Effects here. Got my popsicle PSD. Let's just make ourselves, I think I did this, I'll do it horizontal this time. I made a little promo for this, but we'll make it horizontal. So I've got my popsicle here, and we'll bring this down a little bit. Go ahead and use the old W for rotate. Give it some tiltage, and then I think we could use a background, a nice, maybe pale yellow. I'll turn this into a little bit more of a gradient, and there we go. I think we've, okay, and scene.
Perfect, flawless.
Yeah.
We're ready to push some popsicles.
Yeah. All right. So that's all worked out here. I'll go ahead and be a good boy and rename that background. And now, if I want to make this popsicle drippy, I'm going to use. There's a couple things. I don't know how well liquefy would work here. You could probably do that okay, but I'm going to be a little more targeted and use CC smear, which admittedly is an effect that I don't use all that often because it's not a thing that I tend to need that much.
Right.
It's kind of one of those, you apply the first one and it's just sort of this weird like tentacle thing.
Right.
So yeah. However, as with a lot of these, you dial it in just a little bit. Let's make our points here. Just kind of start like that, right? And then you have a reach and a radius. So let's go ahead and just keyframe all of these, U to open those up. And let's zoom in a little bit here and see what we've got. I think maybe around here, we'll actually have that come down. I'm going to take this value from my from, which is the top one. I'm going to paste that to the 2, and that way they're directly overlapping, no drippage, right?
Right.
There we go. We're getting a little bit of drippage here. And then we'll bring this one way down, all the way here. And then once you start playing with like the reach and radius, see, that's where you can kind of pinch that off.
Oh.
So let's go ahead and just crank that up. And so this will probably happen around that time and this around that time. So let's see how that's feeling. A lot of this is, one of these where you just kind of dial in what your extremes are, and then you just sort of work with it. I don't know. I don't know if I'll even need to mess with the radius here. That's just kind of deciding how big it is, right?
Okay, and it seems to be really only making the from radii bigger, I guess. Yeah, I guess so.
Yep. So okay. Bloop. If I move this to around that same point, and I'll probably randomize all these. Let's just give all these a quick, easy ease here and trim off this work area, and let's see what we've got. Bloop. Yeah, honestly, that sells pretty well for having just kind of roughed it in. Yeah. I think I would like this to have a little bit more. Let's kind of let's bring this radius up a little bit. Yeah, because we want to kind of get that swell, and then it sort of thins out. That's too much though. Maybe. Look, I'm not a drip scientist, so kind of just eyeballing this until it looks right,
Hydrodynamics.
Yeah. Is someone in the chat talking about that, or is that you?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
No, that was me.
Bloop.
Also, hello, Keys. How you doing?
Bloop. I don't know. I could certainly work on it. And there's, there's a point at which ultimately we're just distorting these pixels, and so you're going to get a little bit of, funniness here. It's not going to look completely photorealistic, but
Sure.
um, considering the amount of time I just spent on this, I'm pretty happy with that. Um, and if I were trying to make this into a little more realistic thing, I would keyframe a second one maybe down here. You kind of randomize the position a little bit. And overall, I think it works pretty well if you're
Yeah.
trying to sell the old popsicle situation. Now, I would bet, okay, good. This is one of those effects that is going to move around with my layer. So I could, so it appears. And so
Yeah.
I could do that. You are going to reach a point where, like, I didn't take it far enough for it to work now that I've sort of maneuvered it somewhere else.
Hmm.
So that's really the only kind of gotcha here is you want to kind of position this before you dial it in too much.
Also, hello, clever Devlin, who can apparently cannot watch nor listen yet. For those who are living in draconian situations, we are sorry for your oppression.
So hang on, you can neither watch nor listen, but you can type in the chat.
I think someone's probably like shoulder surfing on them. That someone's going to come around. But yeah, that's the danger of us being on Tuesdays. People are much more vigilant on Tuesdays.
Yeah, we'll just have to figure that out, I guess. We'll
see what the vibes are like most Tuesday. Man, it feels like a Tuesday around here, guys. That's a little weird. Okay, well, that's an excellent effect. Let's see.
It's it was a quick one, but I think it paid off pretty well.
And so if you start to stack multiples of these, you can put multiples of that on the same thing without much catastrophe happening. Right,
exactly.
Like you get many drips coming off of the same object. Whereas, and it seems to be pretty resource light, all things considered.
Yeah, honestly, it was. So here's the version that I posted yesterday. Just another one down here. Although honestly, I felt like this bottom corner, that's pretty distorty. It looks a little silly.
Right.
But that's fine. But yeah, it's I'm at half, but this is working fast.
Yeah.
No big deal.
We don't do silly stuff on this show. We do silly
never,
stuff on the show.
never.
No. But let's cut over to my screen and keep being serious, okay? Just real quick.
Okay, yeah, very serious.
So, got him. Here is some Melty Kyle. This is the effect that I was talking about. This is the reshape effect, which I only just found out how to add more correspondence points, and it's not intuitive, and neither is it friendly to do. But anyway, this allows you to basically bend something from one shape to the other shape. So the most basic thing is, well, mask one, just draw a rectangle or something on a thing, and then draw the form that's meant to warp into. So if I was trying to make this kind of droopy like this, or like that, and we could have this. Maybe this will kind of like.
I'm not droopy enough already.
No, not at all. Because you don't use the droopy dog voice, which is.
I can if you'd prefer.
Don't do that. No one knows who Droopy Dog. But
false.
You can see here that we can get some blorp going on like this, right? So far, so good, right? We can call that nice. Okay.
So just to step back for a second, because I bet a lot of people have never really used this effect.
Yeah.
So you apply this, and then you just have two masks on the layer, and this effect is just sort of extrapolating between the two. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we drop reshape out, I'll hit the reset here so we can see where it's at.
You had this planned, didn't you?
Yeah, sure. I plan things sometimes.
All right.
But let's say I specifically want to warp this, and really we're just putting a mask on. You could have the mask be the size of the layer itself, which would give you something akin to the Bezier warp. So the Bezier warp is very similar to this. We'll apply them both and we'll see what's up. But with this, you just need two masks, and I choose this part of the face. And then to make our lives a little bit easier, I find that because we want correspondence between the points,
Mm-hmm.
I probably want to just duplicate. And I'm going to call this one source. I'm going to duplicate and call this one destination. It's fitting that you're on an airplane because you are going from a source to a destination.
There you go.
Tee-hee-hee. And then we make our destination just different from the original. So maybe I'll stretch this down and we'll pull this out and I'll make it bigger this way so that we can kind of see one-to-one how that's going to go. And I'm
And just to point this out, if you had any issues where you're grabbing the wrong one, you can of course lock that top mask just to keep things tidy if you want.
If you so desired.
Yep.
Yeah. Or just make sure you select the mask path and then start warping it around. But yeah, like, well, we'll see what happens when we manipulate the source. Anyway, so right now we have what are called a single correspondence point. Now, where are you, you silly little point? This is the hard part. So if I hold Command Option in my case, and then I want to put them on, I believe I want to put them on the destination, I think. Nope, not like that. Hold on. Like this. We'll get it. I'll get to it eventually.
Very intuitive. Yep.
Hold on. I have to select this. Hold down the thing. Put it there. Oh, come on now, you nasty buddy. Oh, wait. Let's go source mask, source, destination mask, destination. Okay, there it is. You can kind of see this gray overlapping. All right. So, oh, nope, that's not it. There. Nope, that's not it. Have reshape selected. There we go. Have reshape selected. Command Option, click on the destination. Command Option, click on the destination. Command Option, click on the destination. And you get these 2 points. Now, hover over top of the point, and for the briefest of moment, it will become a tiny circle. You will see normal mouse, not normal mouse, not normal mouse with a circle, right? It's a very touchy. It's absolutely unpleasant to do that. Oh no, where did they go? Click on reshape, hover over, get it over there. Okay, so how well?
I wonder why no one uses this effect.
Hard to say why. So what is this going to do? Well, it's going to remap from these points to these other points. So if I go ahead and crank the percentage up, in this case, we're really just getting a little bit skewed and a little bit weird, right? Just like my skewed views that I share all the time. So you can see that as I drag the reference or
there we go.
The correspondence point. Also, it uses words like correspondence, which,
yeah,
come on, get over yourselves. So here I am writing my correspondence down.
Salty today. But, even just seeing that, like, you can see it's not just the vertices of the 2 masks. You can kind of map the 2 paths, even though in this case they're basically the same. You can map them to different places and create that distortion without making weird mask shapes.
In fact, let's get a little bit distorty. I'm going to change how this one is, and you can see exactly how the distortion is working as I manipulate these parts around specifically. That now it is, and think about it like this. This has a perimeter, and if we were to label every millimeter or whatever of that perimeter, and we just express it as a percentage, this other path has a perimeter. Let's express that as a percentage, and we're going from the 1% mark to the 2% to the 1% mark as these points sort of make that more clear what should go where, and we're sort of changing from one place to another. So that's kind of the way to do it. Warping Kyle's face is fun and good. This is already funny on its own. I think this is a great use of everything.
Honestly a pretty good improvement.
Yeah, you can use what's called the elasticity, which is really going to change sort of the manner in which we get from one to the other. So from stiff to super fluid. Interesting that it goes from, there's no super stiff. Anyway, normal isn't even in the middle. We've got absolutely normal. So Kyle, I think of you as an absolutely normal person. So
Same.
we're a couple of absolutely normal people, you know. But you can see subtle differences in the way that works, and then the interpolation method, be it linear, be it smooth, etc., is really like how far, like between the two modes are we going, and so you can get like
Yeah, nice.
See, that's pretty funny. Okay, let's use this to actually stretch something that isn't a face. So
Wait, what are you saying?
well, what if I wanted to make like cheese, or if I wanted to do some kind of more abstracted thing?
Fine.
I'll just have to be an absolute weirdo and do something that isn't a human face being distorted. If you can believe that. So I'm going to start with something that is like square. So let's call this Swiss cheese. Right. Swiss cheese generally comes in squares for use of sandwiching, which I think is useful for people. And I'm going to use the old rectangle to make a big rectangle. And then maybe I make some circles. I'm going to put some ellipses out in here. And this is mostly going to be for making holes in cheese. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and add perhaps the merge paths. And you might do this with masks. It doesn't really matter because this is a, oh wait, I put this in the wrong place. Oh my goodness. I'm being a silly Billy out here. Beep, burp, burp. All right. So we're going to merge the paths, make it a hole. Hold on. Let's merge them. Oh wait, what am I doing? Now we can see.
You got to get your fill out there, my friend.
I know. Some of these things are not. Oh yeah, I'm filling after.
You're missing Philip.
Yeah. Philip J. Phil needs to be here. Bloink, I made a hole. I am crushing it. So with this fill, I now make cheese colored, I guess. That's kind of on the green side. I don't know, something like this. Now it's more American cheese colored. But this will allow us to kind of blend stuff together. For now, let's make one hole. And now let's deploy Swiss cheese in some meaningful way. So
I demand 3 holes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, we'll get to the 3 holes.
Okay.
The good shows are the ones where we play producer.
I don't find this to be believable cheese, Evan.
Right, that's true.
That's just a square with a hole in it.
Yeah. Not real cheese. Didn't happen. So let's go ahead and make a couple more of those. And then we will enjoy like some larger ones sort of up over.
Okay. So much better already. Look at that.
Yeah.
Now it's cheese.
I need to make the kind of cheese that people crave, that could be an icon of some kind, at least an icon of cheesiness. Okay, so there we go. Cheese accomplished. I think we can all agree. So let's go to where the cheese will be in use. We are going to put the old reshape onto here. Let's get the first shape, a rectangle. The second shape will be kind of like if we were grabbing both edges of the cheese and kind of squishing it out. So let's do like that. And then the big question is, do we want to add intermediate points? How do we want the squish to be kind of represented point-wise? Mm-hmm. I say let's go from a 4 to a 6. That can't be so difficult. And we'll say that eventually we're going to get to that shape. Therefore,
love it.
Mask uno, mask duo. And then we are going to kind of go between them. And these are going to be set to none and none. So what's the trouble that we're running into here? Well, this reshape assumes that our kind of size of the thing is the size of the layer. So even though
within the original bounding box.
Yeah. Exactly. So we cannot sort of stretch it beyond that bounding box. That would be crazy. How could that even be possible? Right? So you have to make sure that you've got enough space. But let's go ahead and Oh wait, I can just select damask. Boop, boop, boop. And the other one with the Kyle face worked because all of the mask stuff, right, was basically within the bounds of that thing. So in order for this to sort of deploy, I would probably also like stretch it like that. So I'm using this to get the pinching that's happening, and I use the actual scaling out to do that way. Now,
worth asking, would using grow bounds before that effect get you what you need?
oh, let's find out. Let's see what happens when we do a little growy boundy on this.
Most of the time, yes. Every once in a while, no.
Yeah. Sometimes the thing you want to do is add a grow bounds. And this seems, there we go. Things are getting promising with the G bounds.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. G bounds abounds. So there we go. We got that locking it down. Lovely, lovely. The other thing you might try, sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let me just collapse my transformations on this and see what happens. Yeah, same deal. Collapse the transformations, you're gonna be happy. Anyway, which one do we prefer? I'm gonna do a collapsey transformy. And within the reshape, if I remember correctly, we are gonna hold command. Hold command, click the destination. No, wrong. Click reshape again. Just make sure that you're getting in there. Okay.
Hey, you got it.
I got there. We got there eventually. There we go. Because I want to tighten up my corners in here, right?
Yeah, they're looking a little sloppy. I have to say.
Sloppy corners. But as you can see, the reason that it got so sloppy off the jump is because we're going from a 4 to a 6, right? Because there's a mismatch. The closer the paths are to each other in terms of their just kind of composition or whatever, that just makes it that much easier to there we go, like that. Another little tip with these things is if you cram them into a corner, it's easier to get them into a corner. It's harder to find the exact place on a curve that you want it to be. But yeah, so now we've got cheese stretching. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna reset this to like 100, kind of like that. You can see that for some reason the scale is also affecting this type of thing. I wonder if we use the grow bounds instead of this. No, it's still getting kind of weird in the corners, right? Which is,
yeah, that's odd.
Well, it's a weird thing, man. It's a funky, fresh, strange, and a lot of it I think is sometimes down to this normalness. So if we go to super fluid, you can see that. So super fluid versus stiff, you can see that the corners are indeed changing. And what's going on here is it's basically like a couple of pixels that are being sheared between these two things because my references are not exact. I wonder if I instead, and this, I don't think this reference is in the right place.
And this might be one of those cases where just inside that pre-comp, you scale the thing down 5% or something so that you have a little extra on the edges.
Yeah. And like getting these into the corners, which I thought I did, and then it changed, so that was unpleasant. But anyway, so that's going good. Let's just growy, shrinky to bounds. Everything's where it should be. Nice. So all of this to say, what do we want this to do? Okay, so percentage-wise, I want it to go from this to this. Okay, let's do that. Quick keyframe. So from none to all, let's have the elasticity be super fluid.
Yeah, I'm looking for maximum sproing here.
Yeah, so that's looking pretty nice. I will say this is a bit of a machine-intensive buddy, right? So that's going like that. Now, in terms of cheese consistency, we'll say, there are a few things that we might consider. One, this is really pinching together, so I'm going to just I'm going to tell it to relax a little bit like this. But I would actually like, if this were a kind of liquid situation, it would probably sag more like this. But whatever the case, let's do something like that. And within these two markers, I think the thing I want this to do is to have the holes kind of get bigger and intersect with each other. So I'm going to just have the size of them just sort of grow, like they're going to be like ripped apart type of thing. Like we're gonna lose cohesion in our we're gonna lose cheese cohesion over
Well,
the
so I'm going to step in and be producer again here.
yeah.
If the holes extend to the edges, which I do like aesthetically, then that creates some issues for your stretch because you just lose all structural integrity there.
True. Yeah. So it should then hang and flop and totally fall apart. So I don't know. Maybe we mess with the positions a little bit over time as well, like whether or not it would rip sort of uniformly or within the same kind of area. So let's go ahead and get that going. Let's get this kind of going. So it's kind of like we're going from this to.
I'm not sure this is how cheese works, Evan.
I don't know how cheese works. I'm pretty lactose intolerant, so I don't get down with that.
All right, we'll give you a pass then.
Okay. So yeah, this is going to be changing as this is going to be changing. So we'll just enjoy that. And we don't need to see it in full. We can watch it in half. So what do we think of this? Right. So it's there is kind of a weird click that's happening like around here area, which is weird, which I believe might be down to it's either the interpolation of it or the fluidity that is giving us some trubs. I think this is another kind of there we go. That's feeling a lot more good. It's kind of like that. Thumbs up so far. And this is a thing that we covered previously that we can add to this, say, the offset paths and then offset in the opposite direction. So duplicate that and push us back in to be much more like that. And we just make sure that we are on round around. Now, these are inside bevels, so it might not be as
we'll see how that goes.
Us. Yeah. So I think we need to then merge them together. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like the intersection of inside stuff, which is a bummer. Very well. Then we always.
Oh, you were hoping to round off those little points there.
Exactly. So we can always use our raster mode of that. Simply, which we talked about last time as well. We can just do a little blur. And then a levels or curves as you like. And then we just get into the alpha curves.
I like levels for what it's worth.
Yeah, because you can really get specific with that, right?
More precise,
like, yeah. I kind of like to have a little kind of tail off of the thing. Although, as you can see, curves is being a real weirdo sometimes. So yeah, maybe we pinch in on. It's like, there we go. Zoop, zoop.
I do appreciate all the sound effects today.
How about that one?
Yeah.
Here's another sound effect for you. So yeah, you can kind of round the stuff out as they get less distinct as they kind of pull away from each other. Now, of course, they should be kind of elasticized as they patoing and whatever. Yeah. But anyway, this is the idea that blorp it this way, blorp it in that way. And yeah, so also very useful as we saw on the Kyle example for kind of caricaturizing people. So like if you are trying to do that kind of filter where say somebody's eyes get super big or whatever, or their face gets really distorted, this is an easy kind of way to do that. You can really quickly get a mask around someone's head shape or whatever and then warp it.
Might be a little more intuitive than using the Bezier warp effect. Just gives you a little bit less that you have to mess with.
Yeah, so just for a point of contrast, if we wanted to use the Bezier warp, you can see that the Bezier warp is pretty much the same idea. So you can see the Bezier warp's little gray handles. They only go around the outside of a layer's bounds. So that's what you get. And so if you're drawing a rectangle and you're going to a rectangle, the Bezier warp is pretty identical to that, with the exception that, you know, if you pinch these handles into the edge, you end up with that. And if you enlarge or do whatever with this, like the handles can be a little annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Just in the way they go. So if you find like, oh, it's a little bit easier for me to just control this path and the way I can break them, and because you're using the mask tools that you'll be familiar with anyway. It's not a new thing. But yeah, that's our alternative cheesy warps of stuff.
I guess I will call out though for the Bezier warp, you'd be able to tie all of those individual handles to other things.
Sure. Yeah,
you know, which could be useful there. Yeah. Whereas that's a little more work to do with a mask.
Sure. So. Yeah. Because if we come into our mask, we come to this mask path. We would have to go to where is our? Oh, it's one of these scripts. So it is. Oh wait, it's in here, right? Convert random location. Download.
It's under Window Scripts. It's just installed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm having one of those days, Kyle.
Aren't we all? Well, it's Tuesday. It's throwing everybody off.
I know. I can't concentrate because it's Tuesdays. There we go. So
we did this to ourselves today.
I know. No, nulls follow points. Points follow the nulls. So
yeah.
Now
we got it.
Yeah. So now I could manipulate this, and I have like, let's say like a ball was hitting this. It's pretty easy to now go boing. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hang on. I was on board with your stretchy cheese, but a ball hitting it, that's just too far.
Yeah, maybe someone drops a grape on their charcuterie board and it goes boing, yoing, 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 kind of like that. And because we're now turning this into one keyframe that does the whole mask, we can now have multiple harmonized or totally disparate, not desperate.
Both.
Yeah, both. Yeah. So you can get a real twang going on with this if you so desire. So thoughts to consider here on the Leftovers show. All right, that's my bit for now.
Okay. I mean, I think there was some good stuff in there. We did some good compare and contrast. And, honestly, I have not used Reshape a whole lot, so kind of a good reminder to keep that in the workflow.
Yeah, I mean, why would we? It's sometimes it can produce results that right away are like ew. So anyway, it takes a bit of time to set up. So
it does. That's true. Definitely one of those that's not super intuitive at first. So sure. I'm glad that we looked at it. Hello chat. If you have anything specific you'd like to see us make melty, just say so. Otherwise we'll just keep doing pictures of my face, I guess.
Make mine melty, says chat.
I have more pictures of my face. This is when I was outside at the airport and extremely hot, so this is a very valid expression here. All right, let's create ourselves one of these vertical videos that we all love so much. And I'll put this picture in here and let's size it down a wee bit. That's going to be just fine.
Next time we make merch, it should be sweat wicking. I think that would really be helpful for us.
Okay, yeah. I'll remember that. Okay. And then I am going to try out the liquefy filter to, I'll see if I can melt my hat here. Obviously, it's not, again, going to be very realistic because I don't have, the rest of the hat underneath the brim. Which I would kind of need a couple layers here if I wanted the brim to just sort of melt down, it would reveal the other part of the hat here, but that's right. Okay. I'll just kind of melt my whole self, I think. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And you would need the top of the hat brim as well, if that was going to like fold or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a waterfall, like a Kentucky waterfall.
Okay, so I am going to use the liquefy effect. I'm going to try it on an adjustment layer just because this image is fairly large and I think it will be a little less processor intensive if I do it on here. We'll see how that theory pans out. Okay, so the liquefy effect is for when you really need very specific control over certain areas of the frame. Like you saw my, the smear effect earlier. That's great, but it really just kind of is between 2 points, and you can kind of decide how bulbous that is. But you don't get the ability to really dial this in. Let's rename this Liquid Kyle. Okay. So with the liquefy effect, you get a whole bunch of options here. Some of them are pretty wacky, like you can twist a portion of your image here. So I'll just kind of click around and twist parts of me. Yeah, I mean, if this is what you want, then this is how you get there.
Right. And this is really similar to Photoshop liquefy.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. It's extremely similar to that. The difference is that you can animate these things in here. So let's go ahead and just reset this. There's all kinds of stuff. You can, there's a pinch and bloat and things like that. So I could probably liquefy this photo to get very similar results to what Evan was just doing. But I'm going to, or if you want, you could use this bloat, and this is a good way to give yourself the cartoon anime eyes. That's terrifying, extremely terrifying.
But yeah, and so if this was video and you're moving around, the liquefy would have to kind of move with you, right?
Yes. So what you would need to do, and this is just a still, so I'm not going to be able to fully demonstrate it, but this distortion mesh offset is a little point right here. Let me see if I can demonstrate something. I'll do the weird twisty eye again here. And then this distortion mesh offset moves that mesh around on the layer. If I actually turn on the mesh here, there you go. Let's do the large one. Should be a little better for the stream purposes. So I've created a distortion mesh here. That's where it actually was sitting. And then you can move that around on top of the image, okay? So in this case, you could move a distortion through your image. But in the case of trying to apply this to a piece of video, you would track your face and then use that tracking data to tie this mesh offset to using an expression. And that way the mesh moves around with your track.
Right.
So obviously, as anything 2D, there's going to be limits where if you turn too much, it's not going to look quite right. But
what happens if you scale and reposition the adjustment layer? What does that do?
Well, that's an interesting question. In this case, nothing, because it's just applying it to whatever content is below.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's an odd because as a face kind of turns, it needs to get narrower and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it would work. It would work really nicely to move my face around like this and maybe do a little subtle turn. Depends on what distortion we're doing here. But you wouldn't be able to do a profile to head on, because it's a 2D effect, and you could probably do it, but it's going to be a lot of manual adjustment to keep that lined up, right?
Right. But so about as sophisticated as a Snapchat filter, I guess we might say.
Yeah. Okay. But what I was going to do is take this, just this top one, which is called something, the warp tool.
Yeah.
And so you get a brush size and a brush pressure. And so just to kind of show you what's going on, here's my brush, and then you can kind of see the amount of pressure that it has here. And here, I'm doing sort of a lot of pulls, and I'm kind of just making the brim really fat at this point. So what I might want to do in this case is bring this brush size up some more, and then let's bring this pressure up as well, so I don't have to hit it quite so many times. And let's see how that works for us. So Why did you stop being available?
Oh, emotional reasons.
Oh, you gotta touch that tool again there. Yeah. Okay. So let's just kind of have my hat just be melting here. And you know what? It's okay that the whole thing is getting distorted. The top part's melting too. It was just that hot. There was literally heat advisory, so that's just how it works.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and fix this over here. Let's turn off the mesh. We're just kind of working with this here. And you know what? Honestly, I bet, my face was probably feeling pretty hot too. I'm going to get some excess sweat making me all jowly here. Yeah, that's working out. That's what we need.
That's working out.
Let's maybe just kind of melt the whole top of my head here just a little bit. Again, if you wanted this to be more believable, wink, wink, you'd need to have this background be separated so that it's not getting smushed around as part of this. Okay, so that right there is just perfect. It's what everyone wants. We're in an animation program, right? So let's come up to about 1 second, and we just have this one stopwatch right here for our distortion mesh. I'll just come back to 0 and reset. Ding! There we go. So let's quickly animate that and see how that feels.
Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, look, this is not the most realistic thing in the world right now, but hopefully you can kind of see see the bits and pieces here that could get you somewhere, if you were wanting to.
If you so desired, yeah.
Yeah. One of the key things about this is, remember that a lot of this mesh is untouched. Okay, so we've got some of this mesh distorted and some of it not. Now, if I wanted to, say, use a different tool or like control different parts of my face separately, I could just duplicate this liquefy and reset that one. And so then we could have this one. Let's go ahead and get rid of that keyframe as well. And so we could have the second one doing something different here. Let's turn off that mesh in that first one. So if we wanted to do some weird, like weird twisty eye here, for example, and have that be different, separate, animated differently, whatever. You could have separate control here. And as long as you aren't like overlapping the meshes, these are all going to play nicely together. I mean, you certainly could overlap the meshes. You just need to kind of be mindful of which one's happening first, right?
Yeah.
There we go. It's so hot that my eyeball melts sideways. Honestly, it's kind of how it felt. Can you use liquefy with shape layers and paths? I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah, but it would consider them as only their vectors, right? Like it's not like super interested in anything else.
Right. Unless you just have a burning need to do another demonstration here. Let's see what happens.
No, you do that. I've got a different thing that I'll cook up after.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to make a very important line here, right? And then let's apply liquefy to this. And then I'll just use that warp tool again. And bloop, 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 bloop. There we go. Look at that. See? Getting some nice results here. I'm not sure what this is, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, but I like
it. And then same thing. I could just animate the mesh, or this might be an interesting one to just run that distort through the layer. That's sort of interesting here. You, of course, also, I didn't point this out a minute ago, as opposed to animating the mesh, which you would probably need to do if you want to have more than 2 stops. You could just animate the distortion from 0 to 100. Though I should point out that this goes above 100, so you can actually push it up to 200% and kind of ramp up whatever you had made even further. Dare
Hmm.
I see what happens when we crank the distortion on my face up to 200%?
You madman.
Um, yeah. Oh boy. Oh, that's bad. I like the shape layer
Uh,
better.
yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
So the answer to your question is, of course, yes. Looks like cheese between two burger patties. Yeah. If I hadn't warped this upwards, I think you could probably use this to get some believable drips off of here if you're not trying to pull it down quite so much as smear, excuse me. And you wanted to kind of keep it all in one effect there.
Mm, mm. Hey, speaking of two burger patties, I got some of that cooking over here.
Oh boy, what a segue.
Kabam! I don't know if you peeked at my screen, but check
I
this
didn't.
out. So we got these two, let's say one contiguous thing, and then we stretch it apart, and then we get this big old stretchy part in the middle. Now, never mind that it's kind of flickering a little bit. That's a problem for another day to solve. But
Mhm.
I'm really only concerned about this inner part here. That's the only part I care about because
All about
these,
you, isn't it?
yep, these can go live above that, which will give me a hard edge up there instead. So if I wanted, say, two hard edges with a glorp edge in between,
Yeah.
we got this going. So what makes this happen? Well, dial it back, dial it back, dial it back. So at the beginning, there are simply two rectangles moving apart. That's pretty easy stuff. The third element is just a path. And the path, using our previously mentioned points follow nulls, we have 1, 2, 3 points and middle. The middle we've dragged out the Bezier points so that it is long, in like it's going to droop instead of pinch or be an angle. And so those are being controlled here. So two of them, the ones that are embedded in our patties in this case, or our rigid sides, they just go where they're going. The middle one, I'm just keyframing its position, but you could, if you so desired, use an expression to control that it must remain horizontally equidistant between the two, and then keyframe the verticality of it. Fine, we could do that. But, if you want to have a little bit of control, we'll just leave it hanging loose. And then we are using an adjustment layer with our blur and clamp, and then finally putting the other two back over top. So that's our basic setup. As things stretch, their middles become less good. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into what we're going to call the strand of this. And if we twirl into that, and I can stop looking at this grid. I don't know why I'm so compelled to just put a grid on all the time. We're going to come into our tapier here, and we are going to enjoy increasing our start width, perhaps, and then maybe our start length will come up a bit. Actually, let's solo this. So let's say, what do we want to do? We could make them pinchy, sort of like this. That might be something we want to do. Or actually, is the taper always negative? Is it always less? I don't know about that. How would I?
Sorry, what is it you're trying to do?
I want to make the edges wider and the middle thinner. Now, is that?
I'm not sure that it works that way.
We can't go opposite-y on that.
I don't think so.
Hold on. Okay, let's make them pinchy. And then
I mean, I have a suggestion for how to make that shape, but it's not like this.
yeah, you don't do it like this. Well, because there are other ways to kind of manipulate this, but I was thinking like, well, I can make a taper out of this. So can I somehow do that? No, I can only make the hammock with this, unfortunately. I could make it out of the negative space between two such strokes, right? That one might be given. I don't know. What was your suggestion, Kyle? What would you say?
Well, I mean, I love that these are available to us now, but there are certainly some things that taper just doesn't do.
Yeah.
And so something like a text layer on a path could do this,
Ooh,
or
yes.
you could do what you were just doing, but use like the mirror effect so that you're only um,
Mm.
so that you could sort of pinch it into the middle and then have it mirrored on the other side, for
No,
example.
I really like this text idea. So
Me
let's
too.
go ahead and do. Of course you do.
You get a lot of control over exactly what that taper looks like.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's a little bit, I don't know, fun about this is that not only that, but you can, oh, don't have that selected when you do that. So you can kind of pinch stuff in fun ways.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and kind of pinch this in or whatever. But generally, I needed that path. I think I had the path, so I can paste it a path. No, I did not paste it a path. Give me that path. 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 Paste path, sir. Hold on. What's going on here?
Uh-oh.
It's because I'm going from vector to layer. I wonder. I don't know. I'm just gonna draw. I'm gonna draw this path, so it's forced to
draw
have a path. And I'll just copy this, and I'll put path property to path. There, we can talk to each other. Path property to path property. Okay, so that is going to sort of. Oh, and it doesn't want to behave the same way. Isn't that curious? Curiouser and curiouser. Why it might be of this way. Huh. Well, we're learning lots of strange things today.
Are we?
One of us is learning a lot of lessons today. Evan's learning a lot of lessons today. Okay, let's get this thing back where I wanted it. So let's go. Expand. Points follow. Yes. Okay, let's get the text following. So path options, mask 1. Thank you. There it is. And let's go ahead and scrunchitize this down like that. We want this to be centered, I suppose. Left aligned, center aligned, whatever. So that looks fine. And maybe I just need more of it. So we'll just
Perhaps.
blomp. Now we got more cheese than we know what to do with. This is great. So we'll just go ahead and enjoy that.
More cheese is always better.
Yeah. There's no reason to have less cheese. I don't know what. That would be crazy. That's what a kind of a lunatic would do.
Unless you are lactose intolerant.
Sure. Yeah. That's. Hey, sometimes you just gotta like go, ride that ride that creamy demon. I was gonna say, but that's not. It's not the way civilized people speak. So anyway, this one will be parented to that one. That one will be parented to this one. How's that going? Kind of like that. And then, right, it's a new one of those. It's a brand new one of those. So this will have us. I think the way this is working is funny and weird. I gotta.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm laughing at.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's make this kind of conform to the path. That would probably be wise. Force its alignment. Do it.
Force it.
Ha.
There we go.
That's feeling much relieved. So let's go ahead and put that under this. So now things are looking glorpy like this. And now we can safely manipulate, say, the scale of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Small, not totally gone, but within the range selector. We want to use perhaps the smooth form of this, and we can kind of taper the amounts kind of like that. We can deal with the easing high, easing low kind of deal like that. And would you look at this?
Yeah. And depending on how how procedural you want to stay, you could use any of the effects that we showed earlier, like smear or liquefy or
Mm.
reshape on top of this, so you get extra kind of drippy, gloppy goodness.
Yeah, gotta get that glorp in here.
Yeah,
So there we go. That's thinning out nicely. Let's get into our. Let's pinch this together even crispier, so we get like that. So this is like, and then it's thinning like that, which I think has come together pretty nicely. I'm not gonna lie. I think that
yeah,
works. Text layers, they can be gross too. So we got
love
that
it.
going. All right, we're at 5 o'clock, and
Yeah, you know what? I did see a question a few minutes ago.
Oh,
By the way, hello to everyone who joined us from the main Adobe feed. We got all of the thumbs pouring in a minute ago. I did want to address this question real quick because it's
okay.
very related to what we're doing. Um, just a minute ago, Keys had asked, can one use a pre-made distortion or liquefy texture? I mean, yes and no. With like the liquefy filter that I was using, there's really no way to. I mean, you could save the settings as an animation preset,
Hmm.
but I guess this is the face I would make to that, um, because it's going to be very specific to the image that you're putting it on top of.
Hmm.
Though I will point out that the way that I was working, I put all of those liquefy effects on an adjustment layer here, right? So I can just, yikes. If you're just getting here, sorry for whatever's happening here. We're just kind
Yes.
of showing some extremes. Um, um, but because it's on an adjustment layer, I could put literally any other image underneath this and it would warp in the same way. That doesn't mean it would look right on that. However, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, so I won't go super deep. There's another approach that you could use that is, possibly a little more flexible, depending on what you're doing, which is using what's called a displacement map.
Yeah.
So I've just quickly created a shape layer here that's all 50% gray, and then I have a gradient white here. Okay, the way the displacement map effect works is that 50% gray means no change, white is all the change in one direction, black is all the change in another direction. You can also use red and green channels for this if you need more complexity.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I was gonna say, do you have Displacer Pro installed?
I totally do.
Yeah. So anyway, because I think so during the stream last week, I got into displacement map, and I was thinking we should talk about Displacer Pro maybe today. It's a free plugin from Plugin Everything. Anyway, and it
Ding,
does
there it is.
yeah, and it does yeah. I think you can see like it does more than just
Yeah.
left, right, up, down, basically.
Yeah. I'm going to try and answer this quickly. I agree that's the thing we should totally get into. I will not pretend that I have dug super far into this. So we can try it live right here. But the bones are the same here, where you choose. So I've applied this displacement map effect to my image, and then you choose which layer is going to be used to distort that map in this case. And I'm going to choose the luminance channels, that's white to black. And so then that white area can be used to distort, can be used to distort our image however we want. And this becomes very controllable because then all you have to do is, in a case like this, obviously this is kind of a simple example, but I could move this ellipse around wherever I want, and that is going to have that effect. Now, a trick that I like to do when I'm using a shape layer like this, if you keep that on top of whatever you're manipulating and just turn the opacity to 0, you can still see the controls for your shape layer, but then you can see through it to whatever it is that you are distorting underneath. Warp. Terrifying.
Flawless
Yeah.
execution.
So yes, to Evan's point, Displacer Pro is a free effect from Plugin Everything. and it does allow a lot of similar workflows here. So on Luminance, you can view the map here. Helps if I turn the effect on. And okay, this one isn't sized properly, so I need to do some additional work because this image is, this would be another good use case for an adjustment layer so that I don't have to have my image sized the same. There we go. Now the map's the same. So you can do that same translate X and Y, but you can also do things like rotating. I feel like we might need to do a whole episode just like bringing pictures of me to life where I'm making disapproving faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a lot more powerful stuff in here. Just you get a lot more options in there. And our old friend chromatic aberration in case you want to do weird stuff there as well.
Yeah, because I think its like main purpose was like rain on glass, right? Was the I think that was maybe the genesis of it, and that's why the chromatic aberration in there, right? Because it bends the light in different ways. Anyway, speaking of bending the light, I better I gotta roll on today. I got a quick out, so we gotta go. No more messing around. We are back next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we are back at you with more of this. And from what we can tell, every subsequent Tuesday, you'll see our beautiful faces bringing weird stuff to you. Next week, we were talking about some many morphing methods, some vector graphic transition ideas between concepts. This is one that we've put off quite a lot because there's a lot of specificity kind of required in this type of thing. But we're going to try to present you with a lot of options, a lot of ideas. So 4:00 Tuesday, Behance, YouTube, Adobe Live. Catch us there. If you have problems, no one else can help you. You can contact us at EC Abrams, me, at Kylosaurus Rex, him. Our forum, motiondesignhotline.com, a real website for real people. The files you saw us play with here will be up there. Kyle, anything else to tell the people?
I don't think so. Yeah, good to be back. I had several weeks off. We both had a couple weeks off. But
yeah. And then, so we're back in the saddle again. So we ride at 4:00 next week. See you all there. Stay creative, be kind to each other, and we will see you all around the internet.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for